Commercial fish farming in Kenya is not a novel business idea. Kenya is endowed with many aquatic resources with successful aquacultural potentials. Highly varied climatic and geographical regions are available in Kenya, covering a part of the Indian Ocean coastline, several large rivers, swamps, and other waterlands. On this week's episode, we bring you to Chwele Fish Farm in Western Region in Bungoma. Chwele Fish Farm is a seed production center whose birth resulted from the high demand for quality fingerlings by fish farmers. Paddington Odari, the assistant director, highlights.
We are mainly based at Kabuchai, and our main function is to produce seed for fish farmers. And the seed that we produce is a Nile tilapia or scientifically Ornamental niloticus. What we do at Chwele Fish Farm is mainly to transfer technology to the farmers, to train farmers on what to do, and to produce pure seed for the farmers to use. Chwele Fish Farm is 17 acres. We have 26 ponds covering a surface area of 11,000 meters square. Some of the projects we are doing is, one, we are going to have a training hall to be put up. We are going to have a recirculating aquaculture system put up. Right now we've done the fencing, we've got feeds, we've got the broodstock, and we've been training farmers continuously on how to produce food, fish. The main purpose of this farm is to make Kenyans secure when it comes to food. And one of the foods that we always advocate for people to take is fish. Chwele Fish Farm was started in 1991 under the NORAD funding. When the NORADs finished implementing the project, they handed it over to the government of Kenya, and then it was the Department of Fisheries. Chwele has a potential to produce fingerlings, especially of Ornamental niloticus. One, because the temperature is right for production. Two, there is the right access to the place. Three, we have the right seed variety that we can find here. And then four, we don't have issues of water shortages around Chwele. The need to establish Chwele Fish Farm arose as there was a high need for fingerlings by the farmers, and now this prompted the government to now start up a seed production center, whose main aim was to, one, produce the seed, and then two, also to train the farmers. We have various varieties of tilapia, the fish that Kenyans like. There is tilapia zili, we have Ornamental niloticus, we have Ornamental aureus, etc., etc. But here at Chwele Fish Farm, we emphasize on the production of Ornamental niloticus, for one, because it is a breed that is favorable to our ecological zone. That is one. Secondly, it is easy to culture. And then thirdly, it is easily available. This breed of Ornamental niloticus has the capacity to grow big. And what we now emphasize, we are trying to shift the production of fish from ponds from using mixed-sex fingerlings to monosex fingerlings. By monosex, I mean we are culturing fish that is all male in population, and that process of doing that requires some scientific technique that we normally practice here at Chwele Fish Farm and other hatcheries in Kenya. So what we normally do when we want to sex reverse, we call it sex reversal, when we want to get an all-male population, is that we harvest the eggs from the female tilapia, we culture them for us to get hatchlings, then we keep these hatchlings for 7 days. Now that age is 12 days. At the 13th day is when now we introduce the sex reversal hormone that is now laced in the feed. This feed is given to the hatchlings for another 21 days, and after that we'll have a male population of 99%. Why we are insisting that farmers take up the culture of monosex fingerlings is that, for one, the males in tilapia grow faster, so they have the capacity to put on weight at a faster rate than the females. Secondly, it is possible for you to culture these fish depending on your stocking age for 4 months and then do another crop. So within 1 year, it is possible for a farmer to culture 2 crops of fish that can give him revenue.
Paddington believes he has the solutions to counter fish shortage in Kenya. One of the solutions is cage farming. Cage farming is the raising of fish in cages in large water bodies where the fish can be contained and protected. This method is best when it comes to aiding in high fish yields.
Fingerlings are stocked in a cage that is suspended in the water. The advantage of this is this: one, we have a higher stocking density, and secondly, we are now using the advantage of the water body and its natural resource. So all the farmer has to do, if you're near a cage, if you're doing cage fish farming, is to have a means of taking the food to the cages and you feed the fish. So one advantage and one thing that we'd like to promote also, apart from doing culture of fish in ponds, that is tilapia, we are also encouraging our farmers to find out whether they can have a place where they can put cages and do cage production of tilapia. And for us to be able to harvest our Nile tilapia from the lake, we need to have bait. And this bait normally is a small catfish fingerlings. So what I would advise our farmers to do is also try to venture into the production of bait fish, and in this case we're talking about catfish production that you will sell at a suitable size of about 15 centimeters so that it can now be used as bait fish within the lake for harvesting of the Nile perch. Thirdly, to address the issue of the youth, we have ornamental fish farming. We have the capacity to train on how to produce fingerlings for catfish production. We have the goldfish that can be done, and there is one farmer in Sagana who is doing it so well and is even addressing the export market. We also have the koi carp, though it's still under experimental basis, but for the youth it would be good if you would venture into the production of goldfish, and by having the goldfish as an ornamental fish, you can also venture into the production of aquaria. Aquaria is a fish that those who have the money would like to have in their sitting rooms, and if with the right kind of design and the right kind of stocking that you can do, you would get a good market for the production of ornamental fish, and you can also sell aquaria.
There are different types of feeds that can be used in aquaculture. The first is the natural food. This food occurs naturally in fish ponds. This includes detritus, bacteria, plankton, worms, insects, snails, and aquatic plants. The second is the supplementary feeds. These feeds usually consist of feed materials available locally, such as terrestrial plants or agricultural byproducts like wheat bran. Paddington shares more about the nutrient requirements for fish from fingerling stage to table-size fish.
The growers, outgrowers, you have your fingerlings, you're now feeding your fish to grow to table size. Now, what you'll feed that fish is with growers' feeds. And normally, this feed has 26% crude protein. Crude protein sources are shrimp, you could use omena or blood meal. And then the rest needs to be carbohydrate that fills up the remaining up to 90%. In the remaining 10%, you'll need to add some vitamins, some binding material, and then some stabilizers, but not necessarily stabilizers, because most of the feeds we advise our farmers, if you have the capacity and the know-how, please try and do your feed production on the farm.
For most fish, feeding twice a day is sufficient, the best times being 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Feeding earlier than 10 a.m. is not ideal because the water is cold and the oxygen levels are low, which makes it even more difficult for the fish to feed. If a farmer feeds close to the same time and at the same place in the pond daily, the fish will learn to come for the feed by themselves.
What you're trying to do here is to show you how to feed the fish, and we recommend that you feed at about 10 o'clock and 4 p.m. And if it's cloudy, please wait for the sky to clear and then you can feed your fish. It's advisable that you feed your fish at the same point so that they have that habit of coming to the same point at the same time in the day for feeds. It is also recommended that within a week of 7 days, you leave 1 day for the fish to browse whatever remains in the pond. So in a week, feed for 6 days, and it's advisable you feed 5% of its body weight per day. This is where the management of fish becomes important, because it's advisable that you do sampling on a monthly basis for the fish so that you can get its average weight. So that now when we tell you feed your fish 5% of its body weight, you can be able to calculate the amount of feeds you can give to the fish per day or per month. After feeding your fish for a period from 1 to 6 months, you should be able to get table-sized fish. And if you've stocked monosex fingerlings, you're going to get only a population of table size that is about 1,000 and about the same age. But if you have mixed sex, in the pond, you expect to have fingerlings, you expect to have post fingerlings, and you also expect to have table-sized fish. But we recommend that when you stock mixed sex fingerlings, that for every 1,000 pieces of tilapia that you stock, you're supposed to have 100 pieces of catfish. The purpose of the catfish is to assist in reducing population of the fingerlings that are produced, so that at the end of the day when you harvest, you have a uniform size of table-sized fish within your pond. Now, in the event you don't add catfish into your pond when you stock mixed fingerlings, what we do, you'll be harvesting two things at once. You'll have mixed sex, population of table size, and then you'll have fingerlings. And the fingerlings will be of various ages. So once you harvest them, you're supposed to be able to grade and give a uniform size of the kind of fingerlings that you have in your pond.